ॐ सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम्
शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम्
अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां
अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्ताम्
वन्दे
वन्दे
गुरुपरम्पराम्।
गुरुपरम्पराम्।
ॐ
ॐ
सहना
सहना
भवतु
भवतु
सहनौ
सहनौ
भुनक्तु
भुनक्तु
सह
सह
वीर्यं
वीर्यं
कर्वावहै
करवावहै
तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा
नावधीतमस्तु मा
विद्विषावहै।
विद्विषावहै।
ॐ
ॐ
शान्ति
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 शान्तिः।
शान्तिः।
ॐ भद्रं कर्णेभिः शृणुयाम देवाः
यामदेवाः
भद्रं
भद्रं
पश्येमाक्षभिर्यजत्राः
पश्येमाक्षभिर्यजत्राः
स्थिरैरङ्गैः
स्तुष्टुवागुंसस्तनूभिः
स्तुष्टुवागंसस्तनूभिः व्यशेम देवहितं यदायुः स्वस्ति न इन्द्रो
इन्द्रो
वृद्धश्रवाः
वृद्धश्रवाः
स्वस्ति नः
स्वस्ति नः
पूषा
पूषा
विश्ववेदाः
विश्ववेदाः
स्वस्ति
स्वस्ति
नस्तार्क्ष्यो
नस्तार्क्ष्यो
अरिष्ठनेमिः
अरिष्टनेमिः
स्वस्ति नः
स्वस्ति नो
बृहस्पतिर्दधातु
बृहस्पतिर्दधातु
ॐ
ॐ
शान्ति
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 शान्तिः।
शान्तिः।
Om Tat Sat, Om Namah Shivaya. So today now
Shivaya.
we are on the last verse of the Dvitiya Mundaka Prathama Khandaha, which is the 10th verse. So we will chant that first. Purusha evedam vishvam karma
पुरुष एवेदं विश्वं कर्म
apo brahma paramritam
तपो
तपो
ब्रह्म
ब्रह्म
परामृतम्
परामृतम्
etad yo veda nihitam guhayam
एतद्
एतद्
वेदनिहितं गुहायाम्
गुहायाम्
so vidya granthim vikaratiha somya.
तो विद्या ग्रन्थिं विकिरतीह सौम्य.
Okay, so I am just muting you all. All right. So look at the words. Purusha eva idam vishwam. The Purusha, Brahman, idam vishwam eva is this universe itself. Then karma tapaha also. Then Brahma paramritam nihitam guhayam. Etad yevedaha. Etad yevedaha, the one who knows this Brahma paramritam as the highest Brahman, as the supreme entity, nihitam guhayam, who is resident or hidden in the cavity of the heart. So all those words will come to Saha, that person, avidya granthim vikirati. He cuts the avidya grantha, the knot of ignorance. Hey Soumya, oh dear one. This is the English meaning. Now let us look at it in detail. So in the first half of this mantra, the Acharya is pointing out what that Brahman alone, of course, together with Maya Shakti, Brahman using Maya Shakti has created the universe. And therefore, just as the necklace, which is created out of the gold, can be said to be a manifestation of gold. Similarly, this universe can be said to be a manifestation of Brahman. Therefore, look at the first line. Purusham, Purushaha, Evedam, Vishwam. So, Eva, Evedam is Eva plus Idam. So, you rearrange the words. Idam, Vishwam, this universe. Purushaha, Evaha. Purusham, Eva. This entire universe is nothing but Brahman. Purusham Eva is indeed Brahman only. So here, Brahman is being presented as what? As the creator of the universe, Jagat Karana. And this Purusha, this Brahman, is saying Param Amritam Brahma. Okay, this What is being seen is the Shrishti Prakriya, the methodology of presenting Brahman as the creator of the universe. So this is the Prakriya in operation. The bangle, supposing the bangle comes from the gold, then what do we say? Idam bangle gold eva. This bangle is nothing but gold. Similarly, idam vishwam Brahman purusham eva, Brahman eva. This particular universe, which is born from the Brahman, that is nothing but Brahman alone. And that is why we said in the last class, we quoted a mantra from the Chandogya Upanishad, Vacharambhanam Vikaro Namadheyam. That product, Namadheyam, that exists as name and form only, where Vacharambhanam, on your tip of your tongue, that is where the universe exists. What is it therefore? Name and form. Now, if you remember the previous verses, I hope you remember, because unlike in Bhagavad Gita, in the Upanishad, you need to be familiar with all that we have done before. So you take the third, I think the third verse of the second chapter, first khanda. Okay. So that is etasmat jayate pranaha manaha sarvendriyani cha. We had said etasmat. From that Brahman, jayate is born what all? Pranaha, manaha, sarva indriyani. Prana, manaha, all indriyanis are born from that Brahman alone. And from that verse, that is the third verse of this khanda, of the second chapter, first khanda, first section, up to the last verse, up to the 9th verse, which we saw in the last class, what was presented? An elaborate list of things or beings which are born from Purusha, born from Brahman alone. Right? And I said earlier that the Sampradaya, the method of teaching, consists of two things: Adhyaropa, the superimposition, and Apavada, the negation. So what has been seen in the last 7 verses, verse number 3 to verse number 9 of this particular chapter, is the Adhyaropa, the superimposition. The Adhyasa is being seen. What is being superimposed? The concept of creator, or the creation itself is being superimposed upon Brahman. Why is it important for us to understand this? Because the status of Karanam, so in Sanskrit we say the Karanatvam, the status of being a Karanam, the status of being a creator. So in English, the creatorship that is attributed to Brahman, it is not a fact. That is what is being pointed out. The creatorship of Brahman, the Jagat Karanatvam of Brahman, it is Adhyasa only. It is Mithya only. It is not a fact. So the Adhyaropa Vakya, this method of superimposition and negation. So, Adhyasa Apavada, or also called Adhyaropa Apavada. It is not meant to prove that everything is born from Purusha. Remember that very important concept. We all think that this method of presentation is to prove that the entire Jagat comes from Brahman. That is not so. The entire Prakriya of Adhyaropa Apavada, of superimposition and negation, which is being presented not only in this Upanishad, but you'll see that in every Upanishad. We must understand that it is not meant to prove that everything is born of Purusha. What is it meant to prove? We are not trying to prove that everything is born of Purusha. That is not the concept at all. Though it looks like that. What is it that we are trying to prove?
Sarvam Brahma.
Sarvam Brahman. You are trying to prove that everything is Purusha alone. We are not trying to say that Jagat is born from Brahman. We are trying to say that Jagat is nothing but Brahman alone. So it is very important to remember this. In the vision of the Shastram, Srishti, creation, is Mithya. And Mithya is Ajnana Janyam, born out of ignorance. And Shastram is not trying to tell you that the universe is born, because Shastram doesn't propagate ignorance. It is trying to prove to you that this universe is not other than Brahman. So Sarvam Brahma, nothing exists but Brahman alone. And therefore, after the Adhyaropa has been presented, you necessarily have to have a apavada, a negation. Therefore, all these last 7 verses were Adhyaropa Vakyam, last 7 mantras were Adhyaropa Vakyam, statements of superimposition. Now we are going to have Apavada Vakyam, statement of negation. So, Purusha Evedam Vishwam. You break it up into Idam Vishwam Purusham Eva. All this is Brahman alone. Remember, this is the essence, the Tatparyam of the Shastra. With this statement that Idam Vishwam Purusham Eva, Idam Vishwam Brahman Eva, what has happened? All that has been superimposed. The entire Adhyasa has been swallowed up. So this is the Sampradaya. Adhyasa, then Apavada. And we must never forget this particular method, because this is the very essence of the teaching. If you forget this method, then we will get into discussions about why are there discrepancies between the way that Mundaka presents the world and the way that Taittiriya presents the world. These kind of discussions will come. But if you remember that the basic, teaching is the world is Mithya, Brahman alone is Satya. Then those questions become important. So all this is born of Purusha was this statement earlier in those 7 verses, 7 mantras. That has all been negated by this statement. All this is Purusha Eva. So Idam Vishwam has been negated. What is left? Purusham alone is left. What remains is Brahman alone. Then there might be a question. What then is the entire universe? So that is given in the second line. So remember, in this, while we are doing this mantras, we have to follow the Moolam very closely, the verse very closely, because explanations are based largely upon Shankaracharya's Bhashya. And therefore, we should not lose track of the Moolam, the main word mantras. So the first line of the mantra has been taken care of. Purusha Evedam Vishwam. That karma part, which appears in the first line, that doesn't belong to the first line. Okay, it is there only for the structure of the mantra, to make sure that the chanting is in order. That karma belongs to the second line. So Purusham Evedam Vishwam. That is the first line. Then karma tapo brahma paramritam. Karma upasana phalam is being talked about. So the entire universe is what? Nothing but a result of karma. And in this karma, in the word karma, we include upasana also. And if you remember, what is the purpose of the creation of the Jagat? The entire Jagat has solely only one purpose: to enable the Jiva to work out his Punya, Papa, Prarabdha. Right? So there are 7 lokas which we can take for reference. The higher lokas are for working out Punyam, for experiencing Punyam. The lower lokas are for working out the Papam. And this body is a part of this universe. And therefore, the body also is part of your karma phalam only. We think that our body is going to experience karma phalam. That is correct. But you have to remember that body is also created out of karma phalam only. So the word karma here, which is actually in the last word of the first line, but belongs to the second line. The karma includes all Vedic karma as well as worldly activities. So all Vaidika, all Laukika karma will includes all the karma which has been prescribed by Vedas. Which part of the Vedas? Karma kanda. All those karma plus those karmas which we do which are not there in the Vedas. So Laukika karma. They are all prescribed. It includes all those. Then tapaha. So tapaha here has a very specific meaning. Upasana, meditation. Okay. So therefore, karma and tapaha means karma and upasana. You have to remember that because pure austerity is nothing but karma alone. And to avoid that meaning, we take this tapaha as upasana. The next word is Brahma. So here Brahma does not mean Brahman. Brahma means what? The Veda. Because Veda is revealed by Brahman. The other way around, sorry. Brahman is revealed by Veda, and therefore the term Veda is also included as a name for Brahman. And when you say Brahman here, you mean Veda. What about the Veda? An inquiry has to be done into the Veda, into the Vedic statements. And what will that inquiry reveal? That is given in the last word, Para Amritam. Para Amritam, we have to add Purushaha, borrow the Purushaha from the first line. So Tapo, Karma, Tapo, Brahma, Paramritam, Purushaha. So Tapo and Karma are part of your Karma Phalam. You have a body born out of that. You have a Prarabdha Karma born out of that. Using all those tools, you inquire into Brahman, which is, here it is, Veda. You inquire into Veda, and what is the result? Veda reveals to you Paramrita Purushaha, the infinite, Para Amrita, eternal, Para, infinite, Amrita, eternal, Purushaha, Brahman. This is Paravidya. Okay. And what does it reveal? What does this Paravidya reveal? It reveals to you the features of Karanam and Karyam. What are the features of Karanam and Karyam? So I hope you understand what is Karanam and what is Karyam. What is Karanam and what is Karyam in this context? Every word here is contextual only. What is Karanam and what is Karyam? Come on, guys. Nobody?
Vishwam is Karyam.
Yes.
Purusha here is Karanam.
Yeah, right. It's pretty simple. If you, as long as you are following the context, it will make sense. So Karanam, the cause, is Brahman, Purushaha. The Karyam is all obviously the product, the universe. So we can think of some features of Karanam. What are the features? First one will be Karanam Ekam. The cause is only one, non-dual. Karanam Nityam. The cause is eternal. Karanam Saram. Saram here is substance, so substantial. Karanam Saram means it is the only entity having substance. And to understand that, you have to know that Karyam does not have substance. Why? Because the product is only Namarupa. That is why Namarupa, we said, is on the tongue only. If there is no substance belonging to Namarupa, there is no substance belonging to the product. The product is always only name and form. The substance is always Karanam. So Karanam Ekam, Karanam is one. Karanam Nityam, Karanam is eternal, Karanam Saram, Karanam is only the substantial entity, the substance is only Karanam, and Karanam Satyam. Karanam alone exists independently. For this Satyam, you have to recall the definition from Tattvabodha, existing in all the three frames of time. Trikale Tishtati iti Sat. So Karanam Satyam. Karanam alone exists independently. Having known this, the four features of Karyam, the product, are easy to deduct. They are absolutely easy to deduce. They are absolutely the opposite. So Karyam Anekam, Karyam are many. Karyam Anityam, Karyam is not eternal. Karyam Asaram, Karyam is not the substance. Karyam Asatyam, Karyam is actually Mithya only. And then Shastra says that if you depend on the Karyam for security, you will face a problem. You can use the product, which is Jagat. Whenever we say Karyam, here we are talking about Jagat. We can use the Jagat for entertainment. You can use it to enjoy yourself. You can use it to have a good time. But if you rely upon that Karyam for your security, there is a problem. It is like having made a beautiful cardboard chair. You know, you paint it nicely. It looks like a real chair. It looks very, very pretty. You varnish it and all, and it looks very great in one corner of your room. It even rocks. You can do everything. Show it to your friends. Enjoy the presence of the chair. But one thing you cannot do is sit on that chair. It is not meant for supporting you. Similarly, the Karya Prapancha, the world, the Jagat, is meant for entertainment, is meant for enjoyment, is meant for exhausting your prarabdha karma. But if you use that Karya Prapancha to lean on as your own for your own security, then you have a problem. And therefore, if you need security, there is only one source, Karanam Brahman alone. And therefore, for an intelligent seeker, Paravidya becomes a necessity. Because I know that I can get security. Everybody needs security. And if I need to find security, I cannot use this world to find security because everything in the world is insecure. It has got a beginning, it has got an end. So, from an insecure entity, do not look for security. And therefore, if I want security, I need to go to the Karanam, the cause, which is Brahman alone, Purusha alone. Where should I go to find that Karanam Brahman? So Shastra says that the Karanam can never be away from the Karya. Karanam Brahma will never be away from the Karya Prapancha. Because when you want to look for the gold, you only need to look at your necklace. What is needed is the vision must change. Instead of seeing the Nama Rupa, the name and the form, you must see the Saram, the essence behind the name and the form, which is gold. Similarly, when I want to look for Karanam Brahma, in this world, what is my, thumb rule for looking for Karanam Brahma? Thumb rule is very simple. Whatever is subject to arrival and departure, whatever is subject to change, that I must put in the Karyam bucket, in the product bucket. And whatever is not subject to change, that is the Karanam bucket. So when I start using the Prakriya known as Neti Neti, okay, the Neti Neti is different from the Neti of Jal Neti, right? It is to be understood as Na Iti. The Sandhi breakup is Na Iti. Neti is Na Iti, not this. So that is the method. To start examining everything in front of you, is that Brahman? and na iti, not this, not this, not this. How do you examine? You look at, let us say, the glass in front of you. And then you say, is this glass Brahman? Does this, what is the thumb rule? Does it come and does it go? Is it subject to change? If it is, then it is karya. So when you do that, in every simple object that you examine, you will find that everything is changing. There is not a single object in this world which you can see or touch or taste which does not change. And therefore, all those go into your karyam bucket, into the product bucket. Finally, what will get dismissed? The entire universe. Your body gets dismissed, your relatives get dismissed, your guru gets dismissed. Time and space also get dismissed. You will find that everything is subject to change. How do we say that time and space are subject to change? Everything else I can perceive, right? Time and space, how do I say that they are subject to change?
Time starts when the Srishti starts.
Yes. And time ends when Srishti ends. But since we don't live for the whole Srishti, this body is not there for the whole Srishti, how can I convince myself that time comes, space comes, and time goes, space goes? It has to be a logical argument.
In Sushupti Avastha, neither time or space exists.
So when you go in Sushupti Avastha, time is not there, space is not there. Time and space arrive only when you are out of Sushupti Avastha, in Jagrat Prapancha. And therefore, time and space also get dismissed. So logically, what is left out? Whatever remains must be Karanam Brahman. But what remains? After negating everything, what remains? Nothing remains, right? So are we saying that Brahman is nothing?
The one who is negating remains.
Very good. So the one who is saying that there is nothing remaining, that is Brahman. That is the consciousness principle which you are. There is something because of which I am able to say that I have negated everything and now there is nothing remaining. That nothingness is revealed by the consciousness principle, the Sakshi Chaitanyam, the witnessing principle, which I am, and therefore I am not able to see it. I am not able to experience it. But the fact that I know that nothing remains, that is itself proof of the fact that I am Sakshi Chaitanya. So remember that the subject can never see himself as an object. Therefore, after negating every object in the world, including time and space, what remains is only the Sakshi Chaitanyam, the witnessing consciousness. That has to be understood as Karanam Brahma. That has to be understood as I, the Karanam Brahma, the eternal witnessing principle. So I am the experiencer, I am the witness of time and space, of everything that is born in time and space. I am also the experiencer of what remains when everything is destroyed, including time and space, which is nothingness. And that is Aham Brahma Asmi. And this Aham is what? It has to be compared to Karanam. So instead of saying Karanam Ekaha, Karanam one is only one, I say Aham Ekaha. I am only one. Instead of saying Karanam Nitya, I say Aham Nitya. Instead of saying Karanam Saraha, I say Aham Saraha. Instead of saying Karanam Satyaha, I say Aham Satyaha. This is basically the meditation, the Vidhyasanam on Aham Brahma Asmi. I am that Brahman. So when the body goes away, I exist. I do not experience anything, but I exist. What is the proof? Sushupti Avastha. And therefore the mantra says, Etat yo Veda Nihitam Guhaya. This is the third line of the mantra. Nihitam Guhaya. Guhaya, in his own mind, Nihitam, Brahman is Nihitam. Brahman is resident in his own mind as the witness of all the thoughts which are coming and going. So during our daily activity, we pay attention to the thoughts because we have thousands of thoughts. But because the thoughts are constantly changing, the normal, tendency is to focus on the thoughts and the changing activity alone, but ignore the consciousness because of which the thoughts are being seen. Just as you see all the objects in your house, you see the table, you see the chair, you see the music system, the TV, everything you see, but not consciously, you ignore the sunlight, which is the very basis for your seeing. So similarly, we have to take that example here. We have thoughts and we have consciousness. In your room, you've got objects and you've got sunlight. In your mind, the corresponding things are thoughts, which are the objects, sunlight, which is the consciousness. And therefore, Nihitam Guhaya. That consciousness, that Brahman, is constantly present in the mind as what? With consciousness principle. Sakshi Chaitanya. This is the most difficult concept to understand. I mean, really assimilate. Intellectually, yes. All of us will say immediately, yes, I understand. But to be able to really appreciate what it means, long Shravanam and Maranam are needed. And that is why we say that Vedantic study consists of a sustained, systematic study over a sufficiently long period of time under a competent teacher. Once you read different Upanishads, different views, different points of view, different words, what is being explained is all the same. Brahma Satyam Jagan Mithya. That is all there is to the teaching. And Jivo Brahmaiva Naparaha. I am not different from that Brahman. And once this is understood, then we go to the fourth line. Saha Avidya Granthim. So that avagraha there, that S has to be dropped. Therefore, Saha Avidya Granthim Vikaratiha Somya. Saha Avidya Granthim Vikaratiha. Vikaratiha, he cuts what? Granthim, the knot, he cuts. Which knot? Avidya Granthim, the knot of ignorance, that he cuts. When he understands Purusham Evedam Vishwam. This entire Vishwam is nothing but Purusham. And this is important. And one very important word here is Vikaratiha. So this, as you can see, it is a Tiha, long E. Right? So that has to be broken. The Sandhi Brakam is Vikarati plus Iha. That Iha is very important. Shankara says, why is it important? All this has to be done. What is all this? Purusham Evedam Vishwam. Understand all this in this life, Iha, here itself. Don't wait for the next janma. And therefore, because of ignorance, instead of claiming that I am the Karanam, the cause, so far I have identified myself with Shariram Trayam, the three bodies. The ignorance has tied me to the Shariram. This is called Sharira Traya Abhimana, three body identification. And this three body identification expresses as Ahankara and Mamakaraha. I, Ahankara, Mamakara, mine. I and mine is the expression of this identification with the three bodies. And that is the prime cause of samsara. When I remember my real nature, when I have understood and then recall my real nature, what do? My entire life gets converted into a movie, into entertainment. It is like my watching a dream, but knowing that it is a dream. So a more appropriate simile is by watching a movie, knowing that it is a movie and therefore I am not affected by that movie. By forgetting my nature, by not understanding that I am Brahman, identifying myself with the three bodies, I own up all the problems of the three bodies and I convert my life into a burden. This product, this Karya Prapancha cannot give me security. And therefore, I have to go to Karana Paramatma, only to the cause itself. This is the main crux of this verse. Okay. Now here, we say Idam Vishwam, this universe, Sarvam, everything in this universe is Purusha Eva, is nothing other than Purusha. So on the face of this, Idam Vishwam Purusham Eva, this universe is nothing other than Purusha. Okay. We don't see a problem, right? I didn't see a problem. Do you see a problem with this particular statement?
Yes, Raviji, I wanted to ask this. On one hand, I mean, in the first statement, we have removed this Karana Karyam Sambandha,
Yeah.
because we have progressed now and we're saying that world has not come from Brahman, it is Brahman, we are saying. And on the other hand, we have also negated the world and we are saying only Brahman is there.
Okay. But what is the problem? When you say Vishwam equals Purushaha, you have to be careful of the equation side. Which side of the equation you are putting first? Okay, you can say Vishwam is equal to Purushaha, or you can say Purusham is equal to Vishwaha. If you say Vishwam equal to Purushaha, what is the problem? Purusha is Satyam. And therefore, Vishwam becomes Satyam. Right? If Vishwam becomes Satyam, Samsara will be Satyam. Do you get the point? If you are accepting that Jagat is Purusha, and we already said Purusha is Satyam, Brahman is Satyam, existing in all the three frames of times. It can never be eliminated. Trikale Tishtati. And therefore, if Vishwam is also that, is not Vishwam Satyam, will not Vishwam also fall under the heading of Trikale Tishtati? And if you are saying that, okay, Jagat is Trikale Tishtati, but I can eliminate Jagat, how, whatever way, if you can eliminate Jagat, if you can eliminate a real samsara, then you can eliminate the real Brahman also. So that is the problem. So the understanding should be very clear. It is not that when this statement is made, Purusham eva idam Vishwam. You have to understand it as Purushat Anyaha. Other than this Brahman, Vishwam Nama Kinchit Na Asti. There is nothing by the name of Vishwam. You cannot say that Vishwam is Brahman. You have to say that other than Brahman, you cannot call anything by the name of Vishwam. I hope the distinction is clear. Meda?
Is this like the pot is clay, but clay is not pot thing?
Yes, you cannot say that the clay is equal to the pot. You have to say that other than the clay, there is no pot.
Om sir.
Yes, Sundar.
In other words, can we say that Karyam is only the Karyam is nothing but Karanam?
I will still say that you word it this way. Other than the Karanam, there is no other Karya.
Okay, sir.
Acharya, I have a different.
Yeah.
We've also called Brahma's Karya Vilakshanam. Karanam Karya Vilakshanam.
We have yet to come to that.
Because
See,
this is
I'll
the
explain
exact
that.
opposite of
I'll
that.
explain that. You say that here you have said that other than Brahman, there is no product. Right?
Right.
Now, when does Brahman get the Karanam tag?
When there is a product.
When there is a Karyam. So if you are saying there is no Karyam at all other than Brahman, then you
Yeah.
cannot use the word Karanam also. You can use the word Karanam, Karyam are relative concepts. Cause and effect. If the effect is not there, what was the cause? What was being called the cause loses the tag of cause, loses the status of cause.
So it's basically a progression of understanding once
It's a
again.
progression of understanding. When you drop the Karyam, you have to necessarily drop the Karanam also.
Right.
And therefore Brahman is Karya, Karana, Vilakshana, other than the cause and the product.
But as long as the product is there, then the Karan will be there. But once that product itself drops because of, well, Mithya and Satyam, then
Yes.
that's when you realize, okay.
But remember one thing, that product is always there. I hope you guys know this, right?
Yeah, but perspective, now who is it?
Yeah. If the product is not there, we would be sitting here and talking. Right? Moment you say Brahman is Advaitam, it is a drishti, it is a point of view from the Paramarthika point of view, from the absolute point of view. From the Vyavaharika point of view, you cannot say that there is no duality.
As-
Non-duality exists from the Paramartha point of, from Paramarthika point of view. A better example is the water, ocean, and a wave, right? From the wave's point of view, there is a ocean. From the ocean's point of view, there is no water, there is no wave separate from itself. But from the water's point of view, there is neither ocean nor there is a wave.
So Raviji, can we say that from the Paramarthika point of view, there's actually no Karyam and therefore no Sambandha of Karana Karyam also.
Absolutely.
And from the Vyavaharika point of view, there is.
There is. Vyavaharika point of view, you can never say that it is not. But the understanding has to come from the Paramarthika point of view. Because Brahman, which you are, it is Paramarthika Satyam. It is not Vyavaharika Satyam. But to say that, what do you need? You need a mind. That mind is available only in Vyavaharika. So this is the tough portion of Manana.
So
How?
it's
Yeah.
a little difficult to reconcile these two opposing statements. Like on one side, we just said, okay, Jagat is Brahman.
Yeah.
And on the other side, we say you negate Jagat and what you get is Brahman.
Yes. That is only from, see, the two, necessarily the two have to be different. The two have to be different levels of reality. Otherwise, your equations don't work. Paramarthika has to be different from Vyavaharika. Everything in Vyavaharika is dependent upon Paramarthika. From that point of view, from the point of view of Paramarthika, there is no Vyavaharika. But from the point of view of Vyavaharika, there is Vyavaharika and there is a Paramarthika. That duality will continue to exist in perception, but it should be negated in understanding. Like you see the sun rising, but mentally you negate the fact that sun rises.
So Acharya, this is what you had put as Swarup Jnanam and Vritti Jnanam?
Swarupa Jnanam is another name for Brahman. So there's a long discussion in Taittiriya Upanishad. Why Swarupa Jnanam should be equal to Brahman. So right now, this is Mundaka, only the basics are coming out. But to be able to really get into teeth into it, we have to get into the advanced Upanishads like Taittiriya and Mandukya. See, as far as Upanishads are concerned, Mundaka is one. Okay, it's the beginning level Upanishad. After this, we'll do Katha Upanishad. Katha is also a very simple sort of a Upanishad, the story form and same ideas, but no very great discussions from Shankara. Shankara Bhashyam for both these Upanishads is very, very simple. So we are doing it. I am trying to, avoid the Sanskrit of Shankara Bhashyam because it proved to be very difficult in Bhagavad Gita. So I'm just extracting from there and giving you the entire Shankara Bhashyam. So if you are going to read Shankara Bhashyam elsewhere, you will find that we have already covered the concepts in these lectures. But Mundaka and Katho, they don't have too much of involved questions and answers by Shankara. But Kena Upanishad and Taittiriya and Mandukya, they are very heavily into Shankara Bhashyam. They'll take us longer, but each session will feel like it's been 10 hours. It's that heavy. But that's the only way to really understand. Because without Shankara, the thing becomes very superficial. Okay, any questions? Otherwise, we should progress.
This is not a question, but just something funny. I realized that when you were saying about the movie and the awareness that I'm watching a movie.
Yeah.
So we not only get identified with the body mind sense complex, we also get identified with the movie characters and cry with them.
Yes.
That's the depth of our problem.
But there is no problem. As long as somewhere in the back of your mind, you know that after the movie is over, I'll stop crying. And it's important to understand that. If you went to a movie and sat with a stone face, constantly telling yourself that, this is a movie, this is a movie, this is a movie, I don't think the person with whom you went would be very happy with you. Right?
Why did you go for the movie at all, right?
Right on.
Yeah.
So enjoy the movie, but somewhere there, back of your mind, there should be a thread running. I don't know if anybody plays. I, of course, I'm a useless musician, okay? But there is something called a Shruti in music. Do you know what that is?
The Tanpura sound, that
Tanpura sound. What is that for?
as a background to keep the tempo of whatever it is that you're chanting, or
Not the tempo.
The scale.
It is the scale. That Tanpura reminds you what is the basic scale, which are the notes you are, voicing. That every note has to be compared to the basic note, whichever note it is in Tanpura. If it is Sa, then you know the rest automatically. One note has to be there for you to fix the other notes in your mind. That's called the Shruti. So that Shruti here is, I am Brahman. I am not touched by all this. You enjoy. But that basic note remains in your mind that I am Brahman. I am not really affected by all this. You can cry buckets if you want. As long as you come out and know that that was all mithya. So you know story of the, I think I've told the story several times. I don't know if you remember the story of the king who had two advisors. One was dualistic and one was Advaitic. You know the story? Oh, you don't know the story? Okay. That'll indicate what I'm talking about. So there was this king and he had two advisors. One was a staunch Dvaita fellow. One was a staunch Advaitin. Okay. So one day they all went hunting. And as luck would have it, the elephant on which these two advisors, the king was sitting, that elephant tripped and fell. And these three fell onto the ground. And a wild buffalo, started chasing all three of them. So they all ran in different directions and they climbed different trees and were safe. Okay, then they, of course, later on the soldiers came and rescued them and all that. And then they were back in their palace, back in the court. So the Dvaita philosopher, he told the king, Maharaj, you see, this Advaitin, he says all the time that everything is mithya. And yet, when the buffalo started charging, he was the first, he was running the fastest. So the king at first didn't understand. He said, yeah, he really ran quite fast, very athletic sort of a fellow. And Dwatin said, sir, that is not the point. The point is, if everything is mithya, why did he run? So then the king caught hold of the Advaitin and said, you come here. What he says is correct. If everything was mithya, why were you running? What was the answer? It's an obvious answer.
Even the running is mithya.
Even the running is mithya. The king said, the Advaitin said, oh Maharaj, when did I ever say the running was satya? Running was also mithya. In the mithya world, everything has to be dealt with appropriately. But that constant tanpura at the back of your mind is necessary. Okay. So now we will look at the second Mundaka, second section. That is Dvitiya Mundaka, Dvitiya Khandaha. Okay. So let us chant from this section. You have this, your text in front of you. Let us chant. Avi Sannihitam Guhacharam Nama
Avisannītam guhācharam
Avi Sannihitam Guhacharam Nama
Avisannītam guhācharam nama
Mahat Padam Aitrat Samarpitam
Mahat padam aitrat samarpitam
Ejat Prana Nimishascha
Ejat prana nimishascha
Yadetaj Janatha Sad Asadvarenyam
Yadetat janat sad asad parenyam
Yadetaj Janatha Sad Asadvarenyam
Yadetat janatha sadat asad varenyam
Param Vijnanad Yadvarishtham Prajanam
Param vijnanat yadvarishtam prajanam
Yadarchimad Yadanubhyo Anucha
यदाचिमद्यद्धनुभ्योऽनुच्च
Yasmin Loka Nihita Lokinascha
यस्मिन् लोका निहिता लोकिनश्च
Tadetat Aksharam Brahma
तदेतदक्षरं ब्रह्म
Sapranastaduvang Manaha
सप्राणस्तद्वाङ्मनः
Tadetat Satyam
तदेतत्सत्यं
Tadamritam
तदमृतं
Tadvedhavyam Somya Vidhi
तद्वेद्धव्यं सौम्यवृद्धि
Dhanurgrahitva Aupanishadam Mahastram
धनुर्गृहीतोपनिषदं महात्रम्
महात्रम्
Dhanurgrahitva Upanishadam Mahastram
धनुर्गृहीत्वोपनिषदं महास्त्रम्
Sharam Hyupasanishitam Sandhayita
Sharam
शरं ह्युपासानिशितं सन्धयेत
Ayam Yatad Bhagavatena Chetasa
आयं
Bhavagatena Chetasa
यद्भावगतेन
Ayam Yatad Bhavagatena Chetasa
आयं
भावगतेन चेतसा
चेतसा
Lakshyam Tadevaksharam Somya Vidhi
लक्ष्यं तदेवाक्षरं सौम्य विद्धि
Pranavo Dhanuhu
प्रणवो धनु
Sharo Yatma
चरो ह्यात्मा
Brahmatal Lakshyam Uchyate
ब्रह्म तल्लक्ष्यमुच्यते
अप्रमत्तेन वेदव्यम्
अप्रमत्तेन वेदव्यम्
शरवत्तन्मयो भवेत्
शरवत्तन्मयो भवेत्
यस्मिन् द्यौः पृथिवी चान्तरिक्षम्
यस्मिन्
द्यौ पृथिवी चान्तरिक्षम्
ओतं मनः सह प्राणैश्च सर्वैः
भूतं मनः सह
मनः सह प्राणैश्च सर्वैः
तमेवैकं जानथ आत्मानम्
तमेवैकं जानत आत्मानम्
अन्या वाचो विमुञ्चत अमृतस्येष सेतुः
अन्या वाचो विमृच्छामृतस्येष सेतुः
So to break that properly, anya vacho vimunchatha amritasyesh setu.
अन्या वाचो विमुञ्चत् अमृतस्येष सेतुः
Ara eva rathana bhau.
आरा इव रथनाभौ
Samhata yatra nadayah.
संहता यत्र नाड्ययः
Sa esho antascharate.
स एषो अन्तश्चरते
Bahuda jayamanah.
बहुधा जायमानः
Om ityevam dhyayata atmanam.
ओमित्येवं ध्यायत आत्मानम्
Om ityevam dhyayata atmanam.
ओमित्येवं ध्यायत आत्मानम्
Swastivah paraya tamasah parastat.
स्वस्तिवः पाराय तमसः परस्तात्
Yas sarvagnya sarvavid.
यः सर्वज्ञः सर्वविद्
Yasyaisha mahima bhuvi.
यस्यैष महिमा भुवि
Divye brahmapure hesha. Divye brahmapure heshah.
दिव्ये ब्रह्मपुरे ह्येषः
Vyoman yatma pratishtitah.
व्योमन्यात्मा प्रतिष्ठितः
Manomayah prana sharira neta.
मनोमयः प्राणशरीरनीता
Pratishtito anne hridayam sannidhaya.
प्रतिष्ठितो अन्ये हृदयं सन्निधाय
Tad vijnanena paripashyanti dhiraha.
तद्विज्ञानेन परिपश्यन्ति धीराः
Ananda rupam amritam yad vibhati.
आनन्दरूपम् अमृतं यद्विभाति
Okay. That is a long one. In some books, you will find these two are broken into two different, mantras. But we are looking at this particular. Either way, it's okay. We can have two mantras or one mantra. It doesn't matter. Let me just mute you all. So this section, the Dvitiya Khanda, second Khanda of the second chapter. This is the most important part of this Mundaka Upanishad. And this entire section is a Vyakhyanam, is an expansion of the Aham Brahmasmi mantra. So I am the Sakshi Chaitanyam, and therefore, because I am the witness consciousness, I am the cause of this entire universe. Okay. So as you can see, this whole section will be an expansion of the last verse. That is the last chapter, last khanda, last verse. That is the 10th verse of the last section. And normally, for consciousness principle, for Brahman, for the chit aspect, Shastram usually gives two examples. One is Akasha and one is, the first one is Akasha and one is Prakasha. But Akasha is very difficult to analyze, right? Because formless, attributeless, is just there, it doesn't do much. And therefore, Shastram prescribes that instead of analyzing space, you try to meditate on the various aspects of space. And since space this Akasha is very subtle, it's very sukshama, the mind needs to be subtle to be able to understand space. And once the mind has become subtle enough, then Chaitanyam can be focused upon. So that is one aspect of the Prakriya used, Akasha. The other aspect is Prakasha. As I said, Akasha is a bit difficult to analyze. So let us take Prakasha, Surya Prakasha, which is sunlight, and then try to understand the various features of Surya Prakasha. You can extend it later to Akasha also. So the first attribute, first descriptor is Prakashakam. It is the cause of revealing other things. So Surya Prakasha, that is sunlight, is the cause of people in this world, objects in this world being revealed to us. In the presence of sunlight, Surya Prakasha, I will be able to see the objects and other people. In its absence, I will not be able to see other people. I will not be able to see other objects. Generally, however, the sunlight is taken for granted. So if I was sitting in the TTC hall and I asked somebody what is in the hall, that person would stand up and name everybody in the hall. He would name the chairs in the hall. He would name the mats in the hall. He would name all the paintings on the wall of the hall. He would name everybody on the dais also. But he would not usually list the sunlight. Okay. So it is the revealer of everything, but it itself is not very easy to recognize because it is formless and it is everywhere and one takes it for granted. As Vedantic students, by now we have taken this example several times. So if I ask any one of you all, I show my hand and say, what is there? You will all say there is a hand and there is a light. But for the normal person, the light is not taken into account at all. That is the first one, Prakashakam. Then something which I said earlier, Ekam. Sunlight is only one. Even though all the objects and people revealed by the sunlight are multiple in number, are anekam in number, the Surya Prakasham is only one. So first is Prakashakam, then Ekam. Then Sukshma, subtle. Even though sunlight is present everywhere, it is not a tangible entity. I cannot physically handle it. I cannot touch it. It is Sukshma, not possible to physically handle. So you have Prakashakam, Ekam, Sukshma, then Vyapakam, all pervading. It is there everywhere. Then Asangaha. Sunlight is present in and through every object, but it is not affected by the object. So if somebody comes into the hall, the sunlight remains there. If somebody in the hall leaves, the sunlight is still there. If everybody in the hall leaves, the sunlight is still there, indicating that there is no connection with the objects. It is a revealer of all the objects in the hall, but it is asangaha. It does not depend for its remaining in the hall on the presence or absence of the objects or the people. Okay, so Prakashakam, Ekam, Sukshmam, Vyapakam, Asanga. Then Akhanda. It is indivisible. You cannot cut it. Sunlight cannot be divided by cutting. Then Niranjanam. It is Nitya Shuddha, ever pure. If you have the dirtiest garbage in the hall will smell, the hall might get dirtied, but the sunlight is not touched. So Anjanam, Niranjanam. Anjanam is polluted. Niranjanam means not polluted. So this sunlight is not touched by anything which is in the hall. Of course, you can correlate this directly to Asanga. Then Agama Apaihi. We have seen this word before. What does it mean?
Agama Paino Nityaha.
So what does it mean?
It will come and go.
It will come and go. So you would add here an in front. Anagama, anapai. It is not subject to arrival and departure. Of course, in sunlight there is a limitation. When the sun goes down, the light also goes away. Okay. That limitation you have to, keeping that limitation in mind, during the day, the sunlight is not subject to arrival and departure. And just as people come and go in the hall, and the sunlight is not touched, the comparison is with the mind. The mind has all varieties of thoughts coming and going, but to be able to understand that thoughts are there, in order for the thoughts to be revealed, there must be something. Just like the sunlight is necessary to reveal the people coming and going from the hall, there is a consciousness principle which is required to be present in the mind to reveal the thoughts which come and go. This is called Chaitanya Prakasha, the consciousness principle. Okay, now these 8 principles which we saw, as far as sunlight is concerned, try to apply them to Chaitanyam, the consciousness principle. The first one was Prakashakam. The consciousness principle reveals the thoughts. Second one was Ekam, non-dual, single entity. That Chaitanyam, the consciousness principle, is one. It reveals multiple thoughts. Sukshmam was the third one, abstract principle. I have to understand it. I cannot grasp it. It cannot be touched by me. Similar to sunlight. The fourth one was Vyapakam, all pervading. That consciousness principle is present in my mind, but also outside the mind. It's not that it's restricted to the mind. Then Asangam, the consciousness is not affected by people going and coming, by thoughts going and coming. It is in the mind. But when the thought comes, the consciousness is there. When the thought is there, consciousness is there. When the thoughts go away, that Chaitanyam, that consciousness principle, it still remains. Then Akhandam, that Chaitanyam cannot be divided. It's one divisible whole, the consciousness principle. It can never be polluted. While it reveals the presence of Raga, Dvesha, Kama, Krodha in my mind, and the mind will definitely get polluted, but the revealing principle, the consciousness which I am, that can never be polluted. And Anagama, Anapayana. Thoughts will come, thoughts will go. The consciousness neither comes nor goes. And this is to be assimilated. These 8 principles, the 8 points are to be assimilated by Vedantic meditation, which we call Nididhyasa. And since it is difficult to directly come to Chaitanyam, first you meditate on sunlight. Take the hall, take your room and sunlight, meditate upon the 8 principles in relation to your room first. And then once your mind is able to grasp properly, then shift the object to consciousness. From sunlight you drop and you bring Chaitanyam there. These are the 8 features. And these 8 features of consciousness, which we have just discussed, have been presented by us many times as the 5 features of consciousness. I hope you remember. What are the 5 features? Anybody? We have discussed this several times, Bhagavad Gita, Upanishads earlier. The 5 features of consciousness is nothing but a compression, a summary of these 8 things we have just talked about. Who can tell me? Okay. Shall I call upon somebody then in that case? Priyanka, would you like to answer the question?
Consciousness is not a part, product, or property of the body.
Okay.
It pervades the body and enlivens it.
Okay.
It doesn't, but it is not limited by the boundaries of the body.
Okay.
It doesn't get destroyed in time. It is eternal. And the surviving consciousness cannot be perceived because the medium is not there anymore.
Excellent. So only in the second point we have to say that it is an independent entity.
Okay.
Independent entity pervading the body. Okay, so that is, these 5 points have been, if you have ever wondered where they came from, they came from these 8 points. They have been sort of put together, right? And once I have meditated upon the Sakshi Chaitanyam, understood its nature, then one more step remains. That Sakshi Chaitanyam I have to claim as my own self. Okay. And furthermore, one has to understand that this Sakshi Chaitanyam is none other than Paramatma, the Jagat Karana. And once this is assimilated, what is assimilated? That this consciousness principle with these 8 features, that is Chaitanyam. I have done Nididhyasanam, I have understood how subtle it really is. Then I have transposed that identification to myself, and I am saying I am that Sakshi Chaitanya. Thirdly, I understand that this Sakshi Chaitanyam is none other than Jagat Karanam, Paramatma, and therefore there is a deduction. And I am not a creature in this world. I am the creator of this world. This assimilation is called Jnana Nishtha. Just as I understand that I am the creator of my dream, in Brahma Jnanam, I have to own myself as the creator of this universe. That is the introduction. With that, we can look at the first verse. We have a few minutes, I think we can do it. So the first verse, Avihi. So Avihi is effulgent, bright, self-effulgent, doesn't require a different source of light. Sannihitam, seated in, seated close to. Then Guhacharam. So Guhacharam, Charam is moving. Guha is taken as the heart. Why all that? We will come to. So Guhacharam means moving in the heart. The second line is Mahat Padam Atra Etat. So that breakup you need to note. Mahat Padam Atra Etat. Samarpitam. So Atra is here. Mahat Padam is the great support. Samarpitam is fixed. Then Ejat, that first word, Ejat Pranan Nimishascha. So you have to break that. Prana Nimishascha. Ejat Prana Nimishascha. Ejat is moving. Prana is prana. Nimishascha is winking. Then Yad Ejat janataha. This moving cause, you should janata, you should know as what? Sad, asad. Sad is karanam, asad is karyam. Sad asad means karana karyam. Product, cause, product. Varenyam is that which is to be worshipped or which is desirable. So sad, asad, varenyam, that karana karyam, which is very desirable for us. Then param vijnanat, beyond the intellect, varishtham is the highest, prajanam is among living beings. Now let us look at it word by word. Avihi, the light of consciousness, which is what? Sakshi Chaitanya. What does it do? It reveals all the thoughts that rise in your mind. And this Sakshi Chaitanya, where is it located? Sannihitam, closely available. Where? In my own mind. So Paramatma is intimately available in my own mind. I don't have to go anywhere. You have to understand this. Always that Paramatma is available as I myself. And that is why Sannihitam, closely available, intimately experienced. Okay. Along with what all? So that Shruti doesn't say that. But Shankara says, along with your all the upadis, like the tongue, etc., any organ of yours, tongue, nose, ear, eyes, any organ which serves the upadi, your upadi has to be taken as the reflecting medium. So any part of your body which serves as a reflecting medium, in that part, this consciousness is available. It is reflected, therefore it's available. Now, when Chaitanya is present in every organ, then according to the organ, according to the design of the organ, the Chaitanya appears differently. And so Shankara says that Chaitanya is there in every organ, but it seems to have the attributes of that particular organ. Like if it is in the eyes, it will be the seeing consciousness. If you're taking the ears as the organ, it is a hearing consciousness. If you are taking the mind as the organ, it is a thinking consciousness. If you are taking the intellect as the organ, it is a knowing consciousness. So Shankara says it is constantly manifested. And this Atma, which is manifested in the overall body of yours, even though it is asangaha, because of the identification with the body, the Atma seems as if acquired an individual status of I the Jiva. And the Atma is recognized where? It is in the heart. In the mind, the heart, he says. So in the mind you have to accept, but heart is the golakam of the mind, and therefore we say heart. But the Atma is recognized in the mind as what? As the reflected consciousness, as the RC. And because of that, every experience that I have, good experience, bad experience, every experience that I have, it reveals what? It reveals the presence of this RC. And the moment we say RC is there, what do we connect it to? To the OC. So the word is Guhacharam Nama. Guha here means the mind. Okay. And why is the Guha actually means a cave? The literal meaning of Guha, dictionary meaning of Guha is a cave. And here, Guhacharam Nama. So that mind, which is being called the cave over here. So why is the cave compared to a mind? So there are two reasons. Within a cave, something is hidden. And if you want to know what is hidden, you need a light. Therefore, within that cave, of the mind cave, this Brahman this consciousness hidden. And within that mind, the light is required to know what is hidden. The light of jnanam is required. So within the mind cave, we also require the consciousness to know that what all thoughts are there. So two things. All thoughts are available in the mind, but to know those thoughts, you require Chaitanyam. Brahman is available in the mind. To know that Brahman, you require the knowledge of Brahman. Therefore, Chaitanyam is available. The word charati here literally meaning walks around or moving around, has to be taken as being available. So without that light of consciousness, whatever thoughts are there in the mind cannot be known. And therefore, this Atma gets a special name, Guha Charaha, that which moves about in the mind. And in short, it's called Guhaha, which is another name for whom? One of the lords, one of the gods has a name. Lord Subramanya is called Guha. Anyway, that's by the way. Then is Mahat Padam. So Mahat means big, infinite. Padam here means support. So Mahat Padam means that infinite support for this universe, which is what? Jagat Karanam Brahma. And then Mahat Padam Atra Etat Samarpitam. In this Atra here means in that Mahat Padam, in that Brahman alone, Etat, this Jagat Samarpitam is supported. The entire Jagat is supported by that Brahman alone. And when I say that I am that consciousness who illumines all the thoughts, I have to understand that I have no location. Why? Because everything is located in me. And hence, I am the Adhisthana, the seat of everything. Everything sits on me alone. And therefore, I am the support. I am the Adhisthana. Okay, so Shankara says that you have to add everything in creation comes to me alone. Sarvena Padyate is reached by all. So this Brahman is reached by all when Pralaya Kale. Everything resolves into Brahman. So I am also the Laya Karana. The entire universe is not only born out of me, it is sustained by me, and it is resolved into me when Pralayam comes. Okay. Now look at the third line. Yad Ejat. So Ejat here is moving. Okay, here this moving, there are two types of moving things. What are they in this universe? When you're reading this, you must remember in this universe, two types of things move. What are they? It's a very obvious question actually. I'm just making sure you're not falling asleep. What things move in this universe? Give an example of things which move.
Living and non-living things.
Excellent. So both things move. Okay, non-living things move and living things move. But here, Ejat, Yad Ejat is to be taken as insentient things, non-living things which move, like maybe water and all that. Because Yad Pranam is also there. So breathing. So the moving things are taken as non-living. The breathing things are taken as living, which includes trees also. Okay. And then Yad Nimishascha. So Nimishat means to wink. We saw this in Bhagavad Gita in one of the verses. Nimishastha is winking. So those which have got eyes have to be understood. Winking means you got to have an eye to wink, which means capable of perception. Yad Nimishastha, that which winks, that which is capable of perception. And here Shankara is not happy. So he says, Animishata also. That which do not wink also. Why does he add that?
To include the non-living things also.
To include the
Things that cannot see.
like living, non-living.
Non-living. Within
No.
living also there are many that can't
Living.
see.
Living. Because Ajat is the moving, where he has included non-living. Insentient is included there. Here he is saying that you have to also include, because Shruti says winking, means those, only those who got eyes. So Shankara wants to say, what about trees and plants? You know, so it includes that also. That is why non-winking, that which does not wink. And incidentally, I read somewhere there is a belief that the gods are not capable of winking. Okay, true, not true, I don't know. Maybe it's meant
Even fish.
even fish, whatever cannot wink, all that included. Okay, then sad, asad, varenyam. So we have to take the meaning contextually. So Shankara says sad asad means murta amurtaha, means having form, having no form, and he himself clarifies sthula shukshmaha. So here sad asad means tangible objects of creation, murta prapancha, which you can see. Asat means intangible objects of creation, like the mind, the thoughts, the space, etc. Okay. And the context, therefore, context is to be clearly understood as visible and not visible, and not the normal meaning of sadasad, meaning satyam and mithya. Okay, that you have to carefully note. Here it is visible, non-visible. So the entire murta prapancha and the amurta prapancha, which means everything, visible, invisible universe, is resting where? In consciousness alone. And this is varenyam. It is really worth seeking as a goal, right? Why this kind of description? Because all are essentially only upadhis. And when all the upadhis are being described, one should know that there is a support also. All these upadhis are placed where? In me only. Okay. And therefore it says atra etat samarpitam. That is the second line. Atra etat samarpitam. Shankara clarifies each word. Atra means asmin brahmani. In this Brahman, etat sarvam idam. All this, the entire universe, all the upadhis. Samarpitam, praveshitam, fixed. So all this you must know. In this Brahman, it is all fixed. Param vidya, param vijnanat varishta prajana. You must know. Because all supreme things have to be known from here only. Okay. So param indicates beyond, vijnana, understanding, prajanam, of the people, etat janataha. You must know all this. This param is beyond the comprehension of the people. So vijnana, prajanam, param. It is beyond the comprehension of the people, normal people. Etat janataha. You should know. But this Brahman is beyond the comprehension of most people. But you as a Vedantic seeker, you must know that. Okay. Any questions so far? Okay. So he says that Shankara further says that all this, when you say they are samarpitam, they are fixed in this Brahman, Shankara says you have to understand that how they are fixed. They are fixed like the spokes in a wheel, in the hub of the wheel. So just as the wheels turn because of the hub, and therefore the movement of the chariot is possible, similarly, Jagat is moving because everything is fixed in this aham, in you alone. The entire universe, including the gods, including all sun, stars, everything, is fixed in that Brahman, which is I. And that Brahman is Varishtham, the most exalted. Which means what? Ever free, Nitya Muktaha, ever shining, and Nitya Shuddha, ever pure. Most wonderful of all things, this one must know. So what is the topic of the section? That is why he says, Yadeta Janataha. All this you must know as what? As the very essence of your own self. The topic of the section is what? Is to know pure existence. And there is only one way in which pure existence can be known, pure consciousness can be known. There is only one way, and that is Aham Eva. A very, very important section, this particular section, because this particular mantra, the first mantra, is a Mahavakyam. What is a Mahavakyam? The technical definition of Mahavakyam is what?
Any statement that defines the Jivatma Paramatma Aikyam.
Any statement that defines Jivatma Paramatma Aikyam is a Mahavakyam. As you can see, this mantra is entirely Mahavakyam. The full mantra is Mahavakyam only. And in this particular section, almost every mantra is a Mahavakyam. So it is worthwhile committing it to heart, to memory for the purpose of meditation. So with this, we'll stop today. Any questions? So you must do Mananam before every class, at least for this section, revise completely. So that next mantra can be easily understood.
Acharya, if you have 2 minutes,
Yeah,
I've
yeah.
already asked you this. I asked you this offline, and I've kind of, been trying to think about this. So there was this question that I'd asked you about the, about the 3 levels of reality: the Paramarthika, Vyavaharika, and
Yeah.
Pratibhasika. And if they're not there in the Shruti, so then where did it come about from? Where did the understanding of the 3 come about from? Because this last little section that we'd done was kind of revolving completely around that. And even our progression of understanding, right, which we've discussed today,
Yeah.
that also completely depends on that. So where did that concept then come? Or
So
where did
there
that
are many subsidiary Vedantic works of various acharyas. So Panchadashi is one, for example. Naishkarma Siddhi is one. All these, they have references to these particular works, the 3 levels of reality.
Okay.
So actually speaking, we should be doing this side by side, having those basic concepts and this also. So that's why I said that once we finish Mundaka, let us go to Atma Bodha. We'll finish Atma Bodha once, get some concepts clear, then do one more Upanishad, then try to get some more, subsidiary texts. And then, so it take longer, but those texts are very important for understanding.
Yeah. Right, because you've very succinctly and very clearly kind of told us that anything needs to be, and the way Shankaracharya himself explains it is all through Shruti, Yukti, and Anubhav.
Yeah.
So this was just a question that came out. Okay, so where did this come from?
Acharya, where is Acharya there? Vidyaranya and all those gentlemen are there. It's just that not just Shruti and Bhashyam. You have Shruti, you have Bhashyam, you have a commentary, a tika, you have a commentary on the commentary.
Yes.
If you look at Sringeri site, Sringeri is a website. I can send you the thing. Look at it, you'll find all these Upanishads are there. But in the listing, it'll say Upanishad, it'll say Shankara Bhashyam, it'll say tika. And then several tikas.
Yeah.
So those. And of course, as I said, in these 2 Upanishads, Mundaka and Katha, there is not too much we borrow from the sub-commentators. But in the later Upanishads, sub-commentators play an important role, because several things which Shankara doesn't talk about, sub-commentators say. Okay. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnam Eva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Tat Sat. Om Namah Shivaya.
Thank you,
Thanks for your
Shivaya.
attention.
Thank you,
Have a good day,
Acharya.
guys.
Thank you.